Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of the Oliver School Construction Update is coming your way. We are in the beautiful gym, and we have a new face. We've got to introduce Kyle Shea, one of the project superintendents. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been with Consigli 20 years, and I've been with the project here since November.
We heard about the wood. We were standing on some...
Yeah, we have one of our subcontractors come in and they started the process and about 2 weeks ago. And there's a full multi-layer assembly of the system. And so our next steps after this, we'll let the wood acclimate. So we need to let it sit and get the proper humidity. And then we're going to sand it and then start the line striping. Yeah, once they sand it out and put multiple coats of poly on it with the lines, it's going to be with the school logo. It's going to be awesome.
So this is a pretty typical situation for a gym floor?
Correct, yeah. And then we leave so many inches away from the side of the walls you're going to see. That way it gives the room to expand and contract, depending on the time of year.
You mentioned the humidity. How are you able to tell what is going to be correct?
Yeah, so we have these sensors located, you can see in the four locations, and so it's constantly being monitored to make sure we maintain temperature and humidity, and this gives us the measurements that we're looking for. So as you can see in the corners here, we've added more humidifiers to make sure we maintain what we need for the quality of the floor.
Yeah, you can feel a difference in here where it's nice and warm all of a sudden on this March day, but you can feel that difference in humidity in this room.
Yeah. Very important for the installation of the floor.
We've just stepped off from the gym into the new performing arts space and found our friend Steve.
How you doing? Yep, just hanging out over here, right next to the gymnasium on the lower level. So some cool updates happening in here. We just completed the VCT flooring install, same flooring product as most of the classrooms. So that work has been completed now, as well as the ballet bar install right behind me. Right around all the ballet bars will be mirrors for the dance studio. And this space also has an AV system, so a projection screen, AV speakers, different connections for all the different equipment for the music for the dance studio. Really cool space within this area.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. Yeah, I didn't realize this was off here. We're keeping a good secret. Steve, you've taken us to the old front section of the building, but this is amazing. It is such a different space. Very cool. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a really cool space. This is the administration area for that main entrance for the elementary school. So a really cool space in here with some different features and elements that you won't see in classrooms or offices per se. Right here in front of us, although it's all covered up and being protected right now, is the main millwork desk for the administration area. Above us here too, we can see some cool light fixtures that are part of this space, as well as the ones as part of the double height ceiling here. But yeah, just some different elements of the materials and scope of work for the admin areas that kind of really adds a different feature to those spaces.
And the windows behind us, just to know what they look like from the outside and see how they're being just reutilized here. It's cool.
Sure. Yeah, right behind us is the outside. That's the existing facade from the original building. So way back when the building was demolished, right up until that exterior facade, it was held in place with scaffold and shoring. And now with the new structural steel and the new building being attached to that, and then covered over with drywall and new finishes, you can't even tell that this wall behind all the sheetrock and everything is part of the existing building. So again, another cool feature of this office area.
It is, and the light too. Is that partly a consideration for energy savings and bringing in out exterior light?
All the natural light throughout all the rooms, but especially this space with all the windows is very important to the energy and efficiency of the system and the lighting in the building.
So we are still in one of the administration suites, and we found Alex, a friend from a previous show. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So we are also standing, just as a side note, we saw one of these in the gym in the last episode. So this is a slightly different color, also the Lawrence flag. That's a nice touch.
Yes, you'll see as the final construction comes together, there's a lot of different graphic elements that are going to be put onto the walls and onto the floors. The Lawrence flag was suggested to us when we were talking with some of the Historic Commission folks, and they had talked about its importance in terms of reflecting the symbolism of the three rivers that come together at the Merrimack. So that was kind of an interesting visual for us to try to capture sort of putting the building into its place, so to speak, here in the city.
Absolutely, and nicely done. I like how you used the, that's a kind of a soundproofing panel? Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, so we try to make it functional as well as not just something purely a visual element. Because there is a lot of drywall in a space like this. This is sort of a mediation space for the historic outside front that allows us to capture a lot of daylight, but the windows and the floor lines were staggered, and we needed to construct new floors to connect the two old academic wings of the historic wings. So this kind of allowed us to slip some stairs in and to allow the two levels to actually come together, so there's plenty of accessibility, no issues with moving up and down stairs at the front of the building. This south side of the school is the elementary school access point. So it's a K-8 building, as you're aware, but it also was important to recognize the pedagogical and scale differences. We're going to have 1,000 students in this building. That's a big school. That makes you really want to take a lot of care to make sure the social units of the school are broken down appropriately. We took advantage of the fact that the old school mostly had its entrance towards the Campagnon Commons and towards Haverhill Street, and that allowed us to sort of allow those buses and cars to drop off the younger students on this side. And then when we also put the sort of the new front on the back of the building, if you will, that scale is a little bit different, a little bit more mature. So the school could accommodate and become more like the other K-8s in the district.
Currently, they're in two different locations, two different principals, two different administrative offices. So this is just the elementary side, and then the middle school admin has their own section as well.
That's correct. And yeah, and I should be clear that it is still two schools within the, sort of the framework of one building. And that was really important for the schools to maintain their identity, even though they do have that one facility. And that really, again, aligns it with the rest of the district's K-8s.
What else have we got to see today?
So I understand we should look at maybe some finished classrooms. One of the unique things is because we did save the old part of the school, those classrooms, I think we had talked about it at one time, were very small, kind of challenging, narrow spaces. And they really, and again, speaking of the elementary school students coming in to this side of the building, so that serves the kindergartners and first graders. That allowed us to really kind of take back advantage of the smallest kids being in the rooms that are going to be a little bit more unique. I think you'll see that the rooms aren't just a box. This will allow the teachers to kind of zone the rooms, which is, you know, you'll hear sometimes in educational planning things like having L-shaped rooms or unusual shaped rooms that allow for teachers to zone the space. So in some ways we allowed the architecture to allow us to kind of provide that kind of environment for those really early learners. Whereas when you get into the middle school, rooms get bigger, you know, they're able to accommodate those larger students in a more traditional manner.
I'm trying to remember based on color. So yellow is third floor, right?
Yes.
Yep. And you just mentioned something out this window here. Can you tell us what is new and what is not?
Yeah, since the last time I was here, they've built the new old wall that is behind the salvage wall for the front of the historic school. So you can see that did a pretty good job of matching the brick, and all of the stonework was recast and is all entirely new. So it aligns with all the detailing that was there before. To the passerby, it'll be as if it was the original school from back in the day. So it's really great to see that work in place now. And those arch-head windows that we had just walked through that corridor really provide a lot of beautiful daylight, works its way down into the front of the school.
Yeah, no, that was an excellent job. It really, I didn't realize that was newly built. So beautiful job.
Yeah, they did a very nice job.
Downstairs, you were mentioning how we were going to talk about some classrooms. So we just walked in a hallway. So, and you're saying this is one classroom for some elementary students.
That's exactly right. Everything you see from here to the door is actually part of a classroom. We're standing in one of the old classrooms, one of the historic spaces, but it was really too small by today's standards. So it really wouldn't provide enough space for both Lawrence's needs and the MSBA state requirements. Still a beautiful room, lots of really wonderful daylight in these old classrooms, so we were able to completely refurnish it and make it a wonderful space. But then we were also able to sort of gain and take advantage of some spaces that we kind of created. So when you come in the door to the classroom, there's this old corridor, And that makes actually a really nice kind of anteroom. The classrooms, as required by Lawrence Public Schools, have the wardrobes, or the place where the children take their boots and their jackets off, inside the classrooms. Most schools do it that way. Some do it in the corridors, some do it in the classroom. So this actually allows it to be inside the classroom, but sort of clean and out of the way of where the actual teaching happens. We were able to put modern sinks. Require 2 sinks per classroom, one that's at student height and one's at teacher level height. Lots of storage, and it'll be really nice to see the furniture when it comes in another few months as well.
And noticing that the features, even though it's the older part of the building, these features look very similar to some of the middle school side that we have seen in previous shows, correct?
Yeah, it's really important that any child or any teacher or administrator can walk into a classroom and they can center themselves, so to speak. And so putting the controls in a similar space in every room is really important in terms of having the light switches, the fire alarm controls. There's going to be an egress map so teachers can help direct students if there is an emergency outside of the building. Some power and other sort of controls in terms of room temperature, et cetera. So that's always nicely organized, simple. It's not, you have to go wandering around the room to find that. That's consistent throughout the building.
Mm-hmm. We came out into a hallway. So now we were just talking with Alex about these windows from the outside. Just orient us again, because we're in front of the auxiliary gym as well, just on a different level, right?
Yeah. So now we're in a hallway, kind of tucked between the auxiliary gym and the new facade to mimic the existing along Haverhill Street. And we're also somewhat above the administration area as well that we looked at earlier on. So this is a cool hallway between the 2 existing wings. So it's part of the new building, but it's basically tucked right in between the existing building wings. Throughout this area, the flooring install was just completed with the VCT flooring. Another cool element about this space here is it has borrowed lights or windows that overlook the auxiliary gym. So a cool little hallway to travel between classes and see what's going on in that space. And then the other cool part as well is some of the historic millwork behind us. It's the same millwork and same scope and profiles as what we see in the auxiliary gym.
Yeah, and I said we have a much closer perspective. We were down on the floor in the auxiliary gym trying to look up, but you can really see the detail of that millwork here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, really cool space. And again, with the arched windows of the new building that replicate the existing facade, it brings in even more natural light into this area.
We were walking by this room, and I asked you what in the world is hanging from the ceiling. So please fill us in. Where are we?
So we happen to be standing in a typical science lab at the middle school level. So we had just come out of one of the elementary school classrooms. And so remember, all of the curriculum at the elementary level is taught within that singular classroom. Once you get to the middle school, now you're into a team teaching environment. So the students are a little bit older, more mature, and they move between classrooms for their different core subject areas. And so having a separate science lab, which is a very different type of a classroom than, say, a math classroom or an English classroom or a social studies classroom or a history classroom. So this room is modern in all of those categories. Lots of sinks you'll notice as you look around, lots of cabinetry to hold various specific instruments for use in the types of science that they're doing at the middle school level. These reels for power, the goal is to make these types of rooms as flexible as possible. You'll see there's no old-fashioned fixed islands with sinks in them or gas in them. So especially at this level, you see the goal is to make as many different kinds of subject matter be available within this room. The rooms are also very large, so that allows for that kind of flexibility for the big tables and the stools and chairs to move around. And there'll be a lot of technology in the space as well once that's outfitted. So this room is really kind of a nice space that the Oliver didn't have, obviously, before we started.
Since it is such an amazing March day, we decided to round everybody up and come out to the outdoor classroom to just enjoy a moment of sunshine. But again, beautiful, beautiful facility, lots of nice improvements, and we appreciate that Kyle and Alex and Steve joined us and took us around again today. Thank you, good gentlemen.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.